Good evening, fellow Plexers. Tonight we're going to be helping John in a Plexaholics group having trouble seeing media on his Synology NAS. John has a DS1819 Plus with two DX1517 expansion units. That would be a total of 28 bays. Way to go, John. And he's running an SHR2 volume, which is like RAID 6 but more flexible 2-drive redundancy. So, what we know about John is this looks like it's a file manager screenshot from Windows, which is why the Z would be there. I would not see any drive letters under Linux. So let me go to Home. If I want to access either of my Synology NASs, either the DS1520 or the DS1019, I would click into it, use my user and password, and then I'd see the shared folders. There are no drive letters to map under Linux. So I have all my Plex media on this Synology NAS, and then I'm actually running Plex on a little Asus branded Intel NUC with a 12th gen mobile i5 processor in it. That Docker container and channels DVR Docker container points back to these two shared folders. Now on this Synology NAS, I have two test Plex servers installed. Only one can run. Right now, there's a package installed on the Rusty array, and there's a Docker installed on an SSD array. So let's explain that. So here's my Synology DSM interface. It's 7.2.2 point whatever. And if I bring this up, you'll see that I have this SSD volume. It's pretty small. It's two Western Digital Red SATA SSDs in a RAID 1 configuration just to install Synology packages and Docker containers on. And then I have this huge SHR2 data volume. It's over 80 terabytes in size, and I have 30 terabytes free. So right now running is Plex the standard way as a package install right here, and I chose to install this to the Rusty volume. This gives me something to compare to the Docker container running on the SSD volume. So that's running right now. Let me stop that. And I don't have Portainer open. I manage everything with Portainer. Well, I don't need to do it through Portainer. I can go to Container Manager to spin up a stop container. There's Plex, and let's start it. So I would create this with Portainer, but I can start and stop it from within DSM. So those are two test servers. Well, I did some experimentation before I started filming. I did a bunch of different things. I created a, let's get back to DSM. I created a shared folder called .plex with a capital P. Where is it? And I could not access it even after giving permissions through the Docker container for the one install and permissions locally through DSM for the Plex Media Server user. So then I just simply renamed it Plex-test. So I don't need it anymore. I've tested it out. Let's get rid of it. And I probably can't get rid of it through File Station or there. I have to be in Control Panel. All right, let's delete that. All right, that's all gone. So under both installs, it won't see that because this period, this dot in front of Plex, means it's either a hidden folder or a system folder. Well, actually, system folders under Linux are hidden. So you can't see it. What I don't understand is how John could see it all for it to stop working. but it should be an easy fix. You simply rename it. What else don't I like about this? I don't like the fact that his library folder is actually a sort folder where all his movies are inside the one library folder without being inside their own movie folder. So if I go to, let's go to this test media folder, and I go into, this is a movie library sort folder that contains individual movie library folders. So this would be the main one. Inside that library folder, where a library inside of Plex would point to, I have proper movie folders with the TMDB source ID. And inside that are the movie files. Actually, this was a test. I don't need that anymore because that's not public domain. So they're all just set up properly. And if we go and look, John, you should have all these bookmarked. Don't know how long your NAS has been set up, but if you didn't follow somebody like Will over at his wonderful Space Rex YouTube channel, review some of his new NAS setup guides just to make sure you didn't miss something on your end. And then also, you want to be at the support articles with Plex. Have this bookmarked. And then you jump down to the Your Media section, and there's 3 articles to be concerned with the movie library and the one with the TV show library. And as you probably know, the multiple edition feature is a Plex Pass, but Plex never gives an example of a movie being in a sort folder. It's always in a folder named after the movie, and these two have to be identical. The folder has to be the same as this for simple naming. Now, it shows us how to name with a source ID by either using this formula if you're pulling from IMDb for naming, or this formula from TMDB. Technically, you don't need the TMDB information in the file name. I do FileBot renames all my files just like this while adding media characteristics. So this is a better file name, but I have to admit, John's structure will scan in properly as long as the file name is named correctly. So while I don't like this, it's not what's going on as his source of a problem. It's this period in front of that. So let's look at my own structure. And just a simple Google tells you that a period in front of a shared folder or any folder on a Synology NAS is a no-no. So my structure, in all my test libraries that I have and my real library, I have a shared media folder on the Synology NAS. And I took to heart something Matt Peterson mentioned a few times when I was first in Plexaholics. He's the Dockerholics admin. Always name these folders without an uppercase letter or a space. So this is my main media library folder. This is a test one on the Rusty volume here. And you'll see inside the folder, I have sort folders. Inside the shared media folder, I have sort folders. So there's a TV-library sort folders, and then individual TV show folders or library folders. So all the main TV shows would go here. All the kids or cartoon shows would go into that structure. Any anime would go into that folder. And then you could have another folder if you wanted to have your DVR content not mix in with your commercial-free content. And I don't know why I had that folder, but that was for another video. And I do the same thing with movie libraries. If you're going to have a separate 4K library, you need a separate folder. So a separate documentary movie library, DVR library, kids, main, maybe you're going to have a stand-up. This just doesn't work. So let's show that. We're on the rusty. Actually, let's switch to the SSD one. Go into the movie library here, and let's rename this one with a period at the beginning. So my file manager warns me that it's going to be a hidden folder. So if I hit Control H, I can't see it because I'm not viewing hidden folders. Now I am. All right, so let's see what Plex server we have up. All right, I need to spin up. I thought I spun Plex up. I did. Maybe I just need to refresh the web app. All right, here's that Plex server running on the SSD volume. So let's add a library. Call it movies-text. Test. We'll browse. Now we know it's in this structure. This container has access to both of these shared media folders. We know it's in this movie library sort folder, and yet I can't see it because it's a shared folder. So let's see if I can leave it at this point and go back and simply rename it. All right, let's hit Control R so I'm not viewing hidden folders. It's still there. Now let's browse. Same location for the shared folder, the same sort folder, and now I see it and I see the movies in it and I can just add that library. So, John, I have no idea how you were able to add media to a hidden shared folder. I just don't know how. And I took the time before filming this to run through and created a hidden shared folder myself, and I tested it under both test versions of Plex. The one on the SSD and the one on the Rusty Array, the package version, and neither one could see that. Matter of fact, when I tried to add the path in the Docker compose area of the SSD container version of Plex, when I got to looking for the library, let me go in, where is it? The test one. Let's edit that. When I got to this stage, it didn't even have the correct alias. It was some goofy characters and it wasn't even named right because it was a hidden folder. So I don't know how you did that, but the fix is to rename it. And let's do that last. If you're not sure how to rename a shared folder under Synology, you start with a control panel, shared folder. Where's my test one? That's not the one I want. I deleted it. Say I wanted to rename this one. You highlight it, you edit, and you rename it. All right, I had to stop the video and cut a section out. So once you rename it, you've got to go into the advanced permissions. And let me do that off screen. I'm sorry, you go into the permissions, and then I can't show you it because it'll show my admin pass or my admin username. So once you're there, change to system internal users and make sure that the Plex Media server, without any spaces, make sure that internal user still has read and write access. It should keep its permission through the shared folder renaming process. Let me just cancel on with that. So that's how you rename the folder, John. And I don't know why you used a period. Maybe it's something that works for you under Windows, but you don't do that under Linux because it's hidden, or a system folder, which are naturally hidden too. So that's about it. If I've missed something, let me know. And I still would like to see you get proficient with having folders. And I've got custom file bot expressions that'll fix this up in a heartbeat for you. And if you want a custom tutorial I can do a FileBot video, show you how to load my custom expression. And let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I'll use some dummy files. I'll mock up these 8 files in a library folder named just like this. One shared media folder, a library folder named movies, and I'll show you how to rename all this because these are all great file names. FileBot will pick them up in a second, and very quickly you'll have the right structure if you want that extra step. But again, I don't like looking at this. I did this myself. I got everything perfect, but this isn't what's preventing you from scanning. This period is. And I have no explanation why it worked and then stopped working. So if you're running DSM-6 still, let me know. Maybe that's why I couldn't recreate any of this under DSM 7.2.2. whatever. All right, thanks for watching and happy plexing.